The Xi chapter of Omega Delta Phi fraternity. So many memories, so many achievements, whether it was serving our community or graduating our members. We have exemplified what it means to be a model chapter nationwide. But how did it all start? It started when National Director of Expansion, Ruben Hernandez, called the University of Oklahoma Student Affairs Office about starting a Latino fraternity. By coincidence, eventual founder Mario Avila was already in the office looking for the exact same thing. Mario wanted to start something different than what was already on campus.
But yeah, I know that we had talked about, doing something other than just Pan Am and HASA, doing something more official. And then we all, just started talking. It's like, hey, we should, again, after talking to Ruben, and we didn't know the process of what to do.
Like many of the interest groups of that time, the members traveled to Texas A&M for a presentation where they petitioned to become full-fledged members.
I remember after Ruben guided us and said, oh yeah, you guys can do this, this is the process. I still remember when we drove down, we got an OU, it was a couple of them I think, but I know we got one.
We got a van, and we got a full-size van and a Bronco.
Yeah, from OU, like OU vehicles, they checked them out to us. How and why they trusted us with vehicles, I still don't know. But I remember driving all the way up there, and we were all talking about what we were nervous. What are we going to say? What presentation, all this stuff. And again, it was different from how it is now. I still remember when we first got on campus. Everybody would ask us, "Hey, so where are you guys from? Where are you guys from?" And we would say, OU. And they kind of looked at us funny, like University of Oklahoma, and we're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Sooners, like the University of Oklahoma?"
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, this is who we are. So they kind of thought it was a bigger deal for us to be there, and we were nervous to be there, but they were like, oh wow, this is cool.
You're talking about, at the time, this was a large school outside of their comfort zone, right? I mean, they had Arizona, they had New Mexico. Texas was pretty much, southern parts of Texas was locked down. So for them to feel like they're extending past those borders, your typical Hispanic school borders.
The group was successful on their presentation, and on November 23, 1996, Omega Delta Phi Xi chapter became a reality. The fraternity officially established with 6 founders: Daniel Robles, Andres Matallana, Philip Carrasco, Miguel Mercado, Mario Avila, and Raul Font Jr.
Nice. I think what tied us all together, at least what I noticed, the common theme was the reason that we didn't blend in too well to like Pan Am or HASA was most of us didn't have that backing, like the money, right? So if you were in Pan Am back then, you had money. Maybe you're from South America, so your family was well off. We didn't have that. We didn't, like, I didn't go home for holidays. He did because his family was in Warren. His family was down in Purcell. I didn't. Like Thanksgiving, I couldn't get away. I couldn't go back, and I just couldn't afford it. I had to work. Christmas, I could try and get away, but it's like, okay, you're gonna lose your job or you go visit your family, kind of deal. So that's kind of tied us all together. We were all in the same boat. We kind of all had the same backgrounds, and we all wanted something. We all wanted to know there was a safe place and a familiar face to turn to, that you're like, hey, I get this guy. Like, I know he's gonna have my back.
Yeah, and like a lot of fraternities, when they start, they might have a house, right, where everybody lives in the house and that kind of stuff. The way we had it, it was an open door policy. So everybody was at my house anytime. I don't know how many nights we were at his house, eating dinner, just doing nothing, right, just hanging out. But we were all friends before, and then friends, during and even today, So, but that was kind of the difference is, we didn't have one fraternity house. We had a bunch of fraternity houses that we all just kind of, shared.
While this was a great moment for our chapter, not everyone was fully on board.
Even after they gave us our letters, I mean, even after the ceremony, I still hadn't bought in. I wasn't, I don't know, ready to commit at that point. It's what, like Raul said, I was the holdout to the very end. I was that last vote that just wasn't going to give in. And I think from that point on, and talking to Ruben and then listening and knowing that this could be better, I bought in and I went in head first. I went in head first and just led the charge. Like I was going to come hell or high water, we're going to succeed. I didn't know, at the time, we're 19, 20 years old. I didn't know what that meant. He wasn't joking when he said, if it'd still be here after we graduated. I didn't know what that meant. I just knew I had to leave it. OU was going to be a better place. Somehow I knew OU was going to be a better place. Like, next Mexican kid or Puerto Rican kid that shows up here, that just got dropped here like I did, per se, will feel like he has a home.
Moving into the early 2000s, many of our members were graduating, which brought new challenges for the chapter. It became apparent that the chapter needed a better balance between business and brotherhood. We were finding out our identity and what we needed to be moving forward. For DJ Thompson, creating the Parents Banquet was a way to bind us together.
The whole event was kind of a brainchild of myself and Hector Alejandro, and we decided we were going to do this full event where we're going to actually, bring the parents in, and for the whole weekend we had events planned. We were going to have a gala one night, so we decided we were going to rent out Olive Garden. They had this back room at this Olive Garden in Norman, and I don't think they know what they were in for, because I think they were planning on renting it out for like 2 hours, and we stayed in there for like almost 5 hours. I think we were there from like 6 o'clock till closing time, and it was an amazing event. Like, I don't think we could have ever planned it to go as well as it did. We had a packed house. There was over 100 people in there, and granted, there's like 20 brothers at the time. So it wasn't just like moms and dads. They were bringing like entire family worth of people coming in. And so, yeah, I'd easily say we had close to 100 people there.
We became more involved on campus. We had brothers like Wilmer Hoffman run for Homecoming King. We volunteered and chaired the Lupe Conference. And in 2001, we started to see the recognition nationally when we were awarded Chapter of the Year for the first time.
First one we had as a chapter, it was just, a credit to all the hard work that the brothers, even before me had kind of just put into place. Danielle as a founder, Hector, Alpha Class, and really trying to help find an identity. Wilmer, and really trying to help find a focus, just all the hard work and the effort that they had put in to kind of set that foundation really paid off, and so it's nice to be able to bring that back, for them, for the chapter, and then being able to repeat again a couple years later. I think that was another just very important part. And
even though the recognition started rolling in nationally, we encountered the same challenges many fraternities face: members graduating. It was at this critical moment that we went back to the basics, training and developing the future leaders of our brotherhood. The end result of this was our Lambda class.
And knowing that our numbers were, kind of low at that time, I really had to do a self-evaluation of the chapter and say, like, what is really needed. And so even in talking with other kind of key brothers, I said, well, let me make sure that I'm building the next generation of leaders. And so I try to treat every single one as, hey, this is a potential president. And so they were involved in every activity I could find them on campus. I wanted to get it out there, I wanted to introduce them to the brotherhood on a larger scale. So I had asked if they come visit another chapter. But really I wanted to put them out there just on that, just out there, and say like, hey, I'm treating you like you're a brother, and you're going to be out there and you are the face of the chapter, because they were. And out of Lambda class, both Jaime and Alejandro were eventually chapter presidents. The class after them, Eli was also a chapter president. And so just really trying to build up those leaders through the pledge program.
With a solid group of future leaders, it allowed those after them to observe, learn, and grow. More recognition came our way, winning our third National Chapter of the Year, which is the most for any chapter, winning the NALFO Chapter of the Year, but the special unforgettable one was in 2006, the OU President's Trophy for Outstanding Fraternity. This caught the brothers by surprise when the award was announced. You see, it's traditionally given to IFC fraternities due to various factors, namely membership size. Eli Velasquez put together the packet as the president-elect.
So it was a lot of long hours on top of a full load of classes. So a lot of long hours to put together a packet that was able to show the hard work that all the brothers had been able to do over that semester. And so it was a very overwhelming feeling, but in a good way. So after that, it was surreal to be able to say that. I think at the time we had anywhere from 10 to 12 active, so it wasn't like a huge chapter. We've never been a huge chapter, but we were able to outperform every fraternity on campus, and that just goes to show the hard work. Not just that the brothers who were active, but the past generations who had built up the chapter to the point where now we're reaping the benefits of all that hard work.
That was unique. I think that was unique. When people would ask us, "Hey, didn't you guys win President's Trophy?" And like, "Yeah." What house are you in? Or I was like, "Well, we don't have a house. We just meet at chapter and in the room, and that's it." And they were like, "Really?" Like, "Yeah." "Well, how many members?" "Oh, I think we're nine. Yeah." I mean, you knew exactly how many you were because it was such a small group. But like nine members. Yeah, 9 members. Wow, So that was fun. That was fun. Getting to explain that, getting to tell people, "Hey, we're here, and we won President's Trophy, and we're a small organization." That was pretty fun.
Yeah, because
it was a good time to be a notified during those years, which is always a good time to be a notified. But during those years, I think we were kind of up there within the University of Oklahoma and national in the national sense as well.
Among the OKC community, Xi chapter is known for putting together the TREE Conference, which stands for the Tomas Rivera Educational Empowerment Conference. The creation of the event, spearheaded by Eli, was in response to the lack of resources given to Latino high school students for achieving a higher education.
And who else better than Xi chapter? We're an organization founded on giving back. And so that was the perfect way to help find the identity of the chapter. What can we do every year to expose low-income, inner city? A lot of our backgrounds come from that, to higher education, because it changed my life, it changed a lot of the brothers' lives. Why not contribute to making that happen for somebody else?
TREE Conference is the largest Latino high school conference in the state. The goal is to inform students of the numerous resources available to them as they prepare for college. Eli envisioned the conference to be student-driven, and this strategy has allowed us to plant seeds of knowledge, one student at a time.
And it's easy to see a grown, professional trying to recruit you to a university, but it's impactful whenever you see a student saying, "I was in your shoes a year ago, and look at where I am today. You can do that too." That drives home a message. And that was my focus. I wanted the TREE Conference to be student-driven, student-organized, student-fundraised, so that it drove home the message of these are students that never thought this would be possible for them, but it is.
Since 2006, the conference has gotten bigger and better each year, totaling up to $100,000 in scholarships. It has inspired many, and especially one of our own. Guillermo Morales is the first TREE scholar to become a brother.
For the first time in my life, I felt like somebody believed in me. No longer was it your teachers just, sometimes you think your teachers are programmed to tell you, "You can do it, go to college," right? You're like, yeah. But for the first time, I felt like, because of a small scholarship that I got at TREE Conference, maybe this is possible. So then I specifically remember getting on that bus, the charter bus, and telling myself, I will go to OU, I will go to college, I will go to OU, I will be in charge of TREE Conference, and I will join Notify, and I will be the president of that chapter. And all those things I've been able to do.
The semesters thereafter, the chapter encountered another transition where many of the younger guys had to step up. At this time, we did not have the regional support or national support.
The fact that we graduated a bunch of older brothers with a lot of experience, a lot of leadership skills, and you got to remember, we're handed off things like TREE Conference with high expectations. the year before I got there, the chapter had won chapter of the year. I mean, not chapter of the year, yeah, chapter of the year and President's Trophy. So you're handed all these expectations and these great projects that the chapter does. And we're new people. We're new at running the chapter. We're new at these leadership. We're right out of high school, a lot of us, that generation of brothers about those 2 years. So you have all that, and we're trying to get our name out there on campus socially and through, just different avenues that we had never explored before. So we're trying to do all that, and you can imagine how challenging that was without veteran leadership, I guess you could say. And then, yeah, on the regional level, on the national level, we were very, distant from them. So we were kind of on our own. When I became president, I look back and, I don't think I was as prepared as I thought I was at the time, right? And but now that I look back, and it's because the challenges were great. It's because we had a lot on our plate that allowed us to grow as brothers, because we did so much together, because we had so much to do, and so much things that we participated in. I think that helped our brotherhood, because we were so busy and we had so many challenges and so many leadership challenges that it really made us, I think, better. But it was a challenging time. We would do good in one area, let's say academics, and struggle in service, or vice versa throughout the semester, or in recruitment. So I think it was a generation where we're trying to find our balance of what kind of chapter do we want to be, because when we players, we came into the chapter, here's how the chapter is, because you had a bunch of old heads, and here's how it is, here's how the rules, the expectations, guidelines, and now we're in charge. So it's kind of an identity generation of what kind of chapter do we want to be.
The chapter persevered through the struggles, stayed afloat, and brought in new blood for the chapter. Many would point to Alpha Delta class as the ones who delivered what we needed.
But I also think our class was kind of a mix of a little bit of everything. We had our guys that were very, academic, super oriented, and very, very business, as well as our guys that were kind of more looking for, just trying to be energetic and get out there and meet new people and have fun. So I think we kind of offered kind of just a jump start back into the chapter. The fact that the majority of us were freshmen, so it definitely allowed them kind of an entrance back into that realm of I guess that age group maybe, or just that mentality of everything's new. Let's get out there. If there's a meeting, let's go. If there's an event, let's go. Instead of, I think it's, especially now that I'm older, I definitely know that it gets to the point where you're kind of like, oh, there's a meeting, where the young guys at, so they can go. I kind of got other things to do. So I think at the time maybe that's something they were missing, and hopefully I think we were good at filling that gap.
2012 was another period where we broadened our reach on campus. Alpha Delta class served as the launching pad for our first ever probate. While some were hesitant to do it, the group took on the new challenge, and it was a great learning experience for them.
I really think it applied to many things. Whether it's just being comfortable at taking direction, or being comfortable with critique or feedback, as well as being kind of self-aware of how you get things done. It's a show, right? So you want to make sure things look right, things are done clearly, and things like that. So that applied in future things, either in the fraternity, whether it's just the business that we take care of, or representing ourselves when we're involved with other organizations. At the end of the day, we're also still representing OD5. So kind of making sure that that mentality of, maybe I haven't done this before, but I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna listen to others who've maybe been there before, and I'm gonna do my best to represent well, whether it's OD5, myself, or another organization.
Numerous National Chapter of the Year awards, awards in philanthropy, President's Trophy. Undoubtedly, many would say we couldn't do the great things we do without the help of our chapter advisor, R.C. Davis. Due to his continued support, we decided to give R.C. Davis honorary brother status back in 2013. It was a long time coming.
Decided that it was the right thing, and I think it was the right time too. He was always really involved, but I think in our time he kind of continued to increase his involvement with us, and it was just becoming very apparent that he isn't just our advisor. It really felt like he was a part of us.
I got to OU, RC was always doors wide open. He would always tell us. So RC was very special and very welcoming, and kind of the father figure on campus for the chapter. Always there, always helpful, always smiling, and just kind of sometimes you'd have a bad day and you'd go into his office and you forgot what your problems were about. But when he became an honorary brother, it just made sense.
I think it was very cool to be able to experience just kind of the conversations around that, as well as once we decided that we wanted to do that, kind of the process of letting him know of I think we had a big dinner. It was nice and fancy. Had a lot of brothers there. Current brothers that maybe graduated recently, and even older brothers attended. And it was really cool seeing how much he appreciated it and how much he was honored when it was honestly kind of the same. We were honored that he was so happy about it. So.
As you can see, the Brotherhood has done great things in our 20 years of establishment. Our founders never really understood how big we would be.
And I remember when we first started it, people would be like, so what are you guys again, and it'd be like Omega Delta Phi, or like, what's that? They had no clue, right? And then I remember, trying to explain what it is and how it's a fraternity, but we've never heard of it. Well, I know, but, this is what it is. And then, again, probably 4 years ago, I was talking to somebody and I was looking at getting a promotion, and on my resume it had, Omega Delta Phi, one of the founding fathers for OU, and the person I was talking to was like, hey, isn't that the Latino-based fraternity at OU? So it was just like a total change from trying to explain it to somebody to some random person saying, hey, isn't that, and they knew what it was. So to me that was like, okay, that's a cool moment.
Yeah.
I get people all the time from some of these schools and say, hey, are you Raul Font, the founder of OD Phi, or the son of the executive director of LCDA? So it's just really weird how some of the places where we used to help out, where we were just some poor little college kid, just trying to just make it through basically, and then these are pretty significant titles that we hold, all three of us. And it's just weird how things happen, how things work out throughout life.
When you do that, but for me it was, I had gotten approached by your typical Sigma Chi, all the other fraternities, and they wanted me to pledge, and then I was just like, I get how that's beneficial, but I just wanted something different, something that the people I already knew. I'd rather start something with them and build something. And the thing I've said a couple of times is, when we started, there was, just a handful of us. And honestly, we never knew whether it would ever be anything other than what we did.
And after we left, if it would still be there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So to be honest, again, when we started, it wasn't as structured, it wasn't as formal, it was more just, hey, let's just start it and see what happens, right? But so now looking back, honestly, it's one of for me, the proudest things that I could have done, just to start something, to look back and see, everything that you guys have done to build upon just the foundation. But, you guys did all the work, but at least we had some kind of small hand in looking back and saying, okay, we had a hand in what it is now.